After 17 long years, LEGO has finally released a new V-19 Torrent Starfighter, but has downsizing ruined this LEGO Star Wars legend. In this comparison, we'll be scoring the minifigs, playability, design, value, and my opinion to figure out which V-19 Torrent did it better. Now, some basic info on each V-19 first. The original set was released in 2008 as part of the original Clone Wars movie wave, which immediately makes it legendary. It had 471 pieces for $55, which is $85 adjusted for inflation. When it comes to the 2025 model, you're looking at 567 pieces for $65, and we're not scoring the box art, but I mean, come on, 2008's box art is definitely better than 2025. It has aura. I also really miss when they would show related sets on the back like this, but let's get into the minifigs. 2008 included a single clone pilot, and compared to what we see in the modern clone pilot, it's just not as good. Now, I don't think they did as good a job on the modern clone pilot as they should have, but that's neither here nor there for this comparison. This newer clone pilot is definitely better than an original clone pilot from 2008, and therefore 2025 has better minifigs, but 2025 also has two more minifigs, so it's really blowing 2008 out of the water in the minifig category right off the bat. You've also got that Obi-Wan Kenobi, that Asajj Ventress from the Clone Wars. They look amazing, great figures to have included with a V-19 Torrent. And just back in the day, LEGO Star Wars wouldn't always include extra figures with a starfighter like this, so it's nice to see that kind of shift. I like that a lot about some of the modern sets, like instead of just getting the pilot, getting that Obi-Wan and Asajj, it really makes a difference in my opinion. I think it also makes a lot more people interested in buying a set like the V-19 Torrent, but overall the 2025 V-19 Torrent minifig selection is clearly going to be better here. It's not even a contest, really. Given that these are both the same ship, there will of course be a lot of shared playability ideas. However, the way they get there is completely different in both cases. When it comes to the cockpit, I forgot that 2008 was so unique in this way, but instead of just like flipping it open, you actually pull this entire thing forward and then it flips down to open. That's really cool. It's a very unique way to function for a cockpit, but it feels so Star Warsy. I don't know if it's actually accurate or not, but if you want to call it a really great play function, we can, and this is the playability section. So, I mean, that is a really neat way to do it as far as a play feature goes. Inside, we've got a single sticker control panel, which is a very unique design. And then placing the minifig into the seat is not going to be difficult at all. Sits right on there, pushes hands down, good to go. And then we can slide that windscreen right back over him. How about that? That looks killer. The functionality for 2025 is not as crazy. You just lift it up and fold it forward. Very, very normal way you would expect it to work. Inside again, we've got a single and very unique control panel design on a sticker, and there is ample space to place your pilot inside. Push him back a little bit. He can't sit as straight up as the one in 2008, but this will just close right over him. And honestly, it looks just as good as the other one, even though the functionality isn't as fun. Even though they both get the same job done, you can't say that 2008 didn't do it in a much cooler, fun way for play. On both of these sets, you're going to find some sort of projectile firing function. So for 2025, that means a stud shooter with some green studs. And in 2008, that meant a flick fire missile with a blue tip. To use the flick fire missile, you could simply just push this, which isn't going to be very effective. You can see if you just push it, it's not going very far, kind of lame. But as the name implies, you can also flick this and it fires a bit better. We'll try it one more time, see if we can get a better hit. Oh, that was way better. That was cool, but it kind of hurt my finger, so I don't know about that. The stud shooter is clearly the better play function here to me. It's easier to use, more consistent, and it's not going to hurt your finger, so it's got a lot going for it. Both of them at the end of the day accomplish the same thing, though, just in a bit of a different way. The next play feature where both V-19 Torrents are going to be taking flight is where the 2008 model really sets itself apart from 2025 in my eyes. For 2008, you just slide this piece in the middle, and then you can pull back on the middle wing, and as you pull it down and lift the V-19 into the air, the other two wings drop down just seamlessly, and you are immediately into flight mode and ready to go. And that's all possible because they use this really interesting piston piece. It also slows the movement so it's not too fast as you go into flight mode. It's also notable that the landing gear on the bottom, which 2025 doesn't even have landing gear, is pulled up and into the body of the V-19 as you do this. Like, it's incredible. And the same thing as you go back into your landing position, you just bring the V-19 towards the ground, pull the middle wing up. Sometimes I have to like pull the side wings in just a little bit to get it to fully close up, but that landing gear drops back down and you are set to go. Just pull that thing back to the side so that if you ever want to move the V-19 somewhere else without putting into flight mode, the wings don't all just drop down on you. But pretty incredible stuff for 2008. Now, 2025, on the other hand, it works fine. It's just not this crazy all-time great play feature that we saw in 2008. So the wings are independent of one another, just simply meaning you're going to have to move them all one by one into flight position or back into your landed mode. The two side wings are connected with a couple of ball joints, and you simply pull them down until you hit your limit. The middle wing, however, is clipped onto the top. It's a pretty weak clip though, so you just kind of pull it back and then it's going to clip in at the bottom again as you go fully into flight mode. It's a pretty strong connection, so even if you're really flying this thing around, it doesn't feel too flimsy, which is great. So I think the way 2025 does this is more than serviceable. It is a perfectly fine way to have the wings open and drop down like that. But the way 2008 did it is just a level above as far as play goes. I mean, they really took it to an insane level that we may never see again from LEGO Star Wars. So I think it's pretty clear that 2008 is better for play, technically not considering the idea that Obi-Wan and Ventress are included with 2025 and there could be some lightsaber battle play included with that 2025 set, but strictly sticking to that V-19 Torrent and all its play functions, I think it's pretty clear that 2008 is going to be the better set as far as play functions go. Getting into our design and accuracy category, the 2008 model is going to be fighting an uphill battle. You're looking at 17 years of piece development and technique development being poured into that 2025 model. The disadvantage 2025 has, well, it's small. Anyways, I'm just going to go through some of the important sections on the build, culminating with the scale and tally up who gets more points to see which is more accurate in general. Starting with the main blaster cannons, I thought this would be a slam dunk for 2008 because they just stuck a stud shooter on there in 2025, and obviously stud shooters don't usually look like the actual blaster in universe, but they actually have two little cannons on 2008, and that is just as inaccurate as having a stud shooter there, I would say, because there's clearly only one in universe, at least in this reference image. And I just feel like the overall shaping and design of 2025 is going to be a lot closer to what we actually see in universe. As much as it pains me to say something with a stud shooter feels more accurate, it definitely does. By the way, this is not an accurate representation of the height between the two models because I decided to give the 2025 set a bit of a lift. It was just easier to see. Another important aspect of the V-19 is going to be the length of the wings, and that back wing should be shorter than the two side wings, and in 2008 it was not. For 2025 it is, so that's another tally point for 2025. Looking at the inside of the wing panel, 2008 has that Republic logo as well as a brick-built attempt at the striping behind it. 2025, on the other hand, also has that Republic logo and a sticker with that striping that much more accurately represents what we see in universe, so I do like the look of that better. And looking over to the other wing, you'll notice no Republic logo here for the newer model, and they do have the Republic logo on the older model. It actually is not supposed to have it, so just another small thing that 2025 does better. It's starting to add up here. I like the general design for the engines on both of these sets. You can see the thrust with the blue on each of them. The piece in 2025 a little bit smaller there, but it gets the point across. What 2025 does far better though is a little bump that it has to it. Like 2008 kind of tries with a couple of pieces, but it's just not anywhere close to how good the shaping is on the newer set, and that does apply to both sides of the Torrent there. So it is a fairly accurate build for that, and 2008, again, not bad for its time, but they've done better now. Both of these sets do kind of suffer from the one-sided stud design, so you end up with one side of the wing that is going to be kind of open bottom studs, which can be a bit ugly. They tried to cover it up a little bit more for 2025, which I think looks a bit cleaner, but still kind of the same issue there. Not really going to award a tally point for either. Getting into the engine area, I think 2025 does this back end a lot better. It's so much cleaner looking to me, and I love the use of the barrel piece. But as we look a little further forward, you'll notice a mixture of white and gray. Meanwhile, for 2008, we have this all gray design, and the all gray color definitely seems to be more accurate, so 2008 going to get a tally for that. As for the intake, you gotta love a good brick built design, but I don't think there's any arguing that the sticker more accurately represents what it should look like, so gotta give that tally to 25. The top of the 2008 V-19 Torrent just looks horrendous. There are giant gaps right through the body of the ship, and yeah, I mean, it's pretty awful design-wise. Functionally, of course, it's amazing. It creates such an amazing play feature, but yeah, design-wise, accuracy-wise, pretty horrible looking. 2025 has clearly hugely improved upon that, obviously losing that awesome play functionality, but I still think how it works is fine. So you've got clean white slopes with no giant gaps that you can see right through to the ground, like much nicer for 2025. Also, the shaping on the front of the V-19 is far better for 2025, and then kind of up for debate depending on which picture you look at. You got the lime green versus the olive green in bricks there versus the sticker too, so maybe a little more accurate detailing on the front with a sticker. I don't know. The shaping still brick built here is amazing. But color aside, the overall shaping and design of the top part of the V-19 is so much better in 2025. It's kind of scary. I've also yet to discuss the color of the cockpit windscreen, and yellow, while a bit startling to look at first, is far more accurate than the dark tinted windscreen from 2008. So, I mean, 2025 really racking up points here. I think I could continue to get more granular with it and find more little things that 2025 is more accurate with than 2008. But there are some big picture things that also matter to me, like the thinness of the wings in 2008 makes the model just feel a lot better proportion to itself. Of course, like I mentioned earlier, the back fin is too big, and there are some other issues on this model, like the back end being too long. Another thing you'll notice is how much they've cleaned up the gaps around that windscreen piece at the back. Like in that 2008 model, you can see the pilot's helmet just looking at it from the top, but with this 2025 model, it's all closed off, which is nice. And then there's also the amount of build behind there. There's like 6 studs back behind the cockpit on the newer model and 13 studs on the older one. And if you look in the Clone Wars, that back end of the V-19 should be nowhere near as long as it is in 2008. The deeper I look, the more I find a lot of little things that 2025 has done better than 2008 as far as its design and accuracy goes. Dropping down to the landing gear, it's of course amazing to have landing gear, but the forward lean of that V-19 is certainly inaccurate to how we see it sitting in the Clone Wars, so I guess we got to give a point to 2025 for not leaning forward. I should also give a tally point to 2008 for having landing gear. I mean, that's just so cool. It deserves a point. Now, the newer model is clearly killing the older model when it comes to all of these little accuracy details. They've done a great job with a lot of the little things, but the big thing that I don't think they did right with 25 is the length of the wings. I think they all needed to be 3, 4, 5 studs longer, and it would have made the model feel so much better, because when you have it in the landing position, it just feels stubby. That's because all of the wing panels are 2 plates thick versus the original model obviously being much longer, but also only being 1 plate thick, which makes it feel more accurate and just less stubby. I mean, when you look at these side by side, accuracy issues aside on the 2008 model, it just doesn't look stubby like that newer one does. And I don't think the V-19 is supposed to look stubby when it's landed. That's not what I've always thought of that ship as. The other important thing, of course, to the design category is going to be how strong these builds are. And that's another place where 2025 just excels. As we've come to expect with modern LEGO Star Wars, a lot of the downsizing has led to much sturdier models. And that's certainly the case here. You can pick this newer V-19 Torrent up by the tip of the wing. It might be bending, it might be flexing, but it is not going to fall apart on you, and you can get that leverage to actually pick it up. 2008, you cannot do the same thing. You can't just pick it up by the very end of the wing. That model will not be holding itself up. Like, I'm too scared to really even give it a try. Now, when used properly, 2008 is just a fine playset. You don't need to be able to hold the V-19 Torrent by the tip of its wing to have fun with it. I'm going to be honest. Like, I think it's a bit excessive almost that they make them this sturdy, but I don't think you can say it's bad that a model is sturdy. Just the trade-off of that sturdiness being those super thick, stubby looking wings isn't good. So the 2025 model on the whole is the better designed, more accurate model, other than those short, stubby, silly looking wings. Well, we went through it all section by section, and this 2025 set makes a lot of improvements over that 2008 one. When it comes to value, for some people, price per piece gets the trick done, but I think it's a little bit more subjective than that. And obviously, if you were doing price per piece here, well, I mean, pieces are bigger in older sets generally, so I don't know, that's not really going to work well here. But I think I've got a kind of interesting way to think of the value on these two sets here. So if you consider the fact that a LEGO collectible minifig is currently $5, then you could just say at best the figures in these sets are worth $5, and that's being generous, but we'll go with it. So $5 each on these is $15 of value in that 2025 set, which brings the price from $65 down to $50 just for the build. And then let's say that one's worth $5 there, even though it clearly wouldn't be, and that would bring the inflation adjusted price down to about $80 on that 2008 model. And so with the builds on their own, 80 versus 50, I mean, it's a significant downsize, but I don't feel like you're off base there as far as what you're getting for your money. If you're spending more, if you're spending less, you're getting less, you know, and it feels fairly proportional. But to me, it's the minifigs that really bring the subjective value to the table here. For 2025, you're just getting some characters in some outfits that we don't see that often, and there's a big draw to that. That Obi-Wan with arm printing is crazy cool and totally worth buying the set for. Of course, the Clone Pilot and Ventress complement him well, versus back in 2008, you would have simply gotten the basic Clone Pilot, and I just feel like more at a lower price is better here in 2025, and then you're getting a proportionally smaller model for spending less. So I feel like the minifigs really sway me on this one as far as value goes. I don't think you're getting a bad value in 2008, but I think 2025 is just better there. That brings us to our final scoring category, in my opinion, basically which one is my favorite, and I think it's a really tough choice because 2008 has history. It's got aura, it's got cool play features. I love that 2008 Clone Wars vibe, and the box art on it just sells it, versus this box art's just kind of bland, and I don't know, like 2008 is just so cool. but it's only got one pilot, and the build is mostly inaccurate outside of like the thickness and length of the wings compared to the body. Like, it's got that going for it. But 2025 simply does every other little thing better, and it includes 3 minifigures. Even though I don't like that clone pilot helmet print, it needed to be better. The other 2 figures are dang near perfect, and the pilot's much better than 2008 was still. I feel like throughout this entire comparison video, everything is pointed towards 2025 being better, and so looking at it as objectively as possible, trying to take my love of 2008 out of it, I think 2025 is better. It just needed longer wings. I mean, that would really put this model in the stratosphere, in my opinion, if it had longer wings. I'm sure there could be a good mod out there, but we're not comparing mods, we're comparing the sets as they came, and so, yeah, I mean, would be nice to have longer wings, though. But as much as I can't believe it, I'm sitting here staring at it, and 2025 is definitely the better set. I will still love 2008 forever. It's the one I would rather display on my shelf, especially because of how derpy the 2025 model looks with its wings folded up. I mean, I displayed it here kind of without its wings folded up, and it does work like that, so you could display it like this, and maybe you get away with it, and it looks a lot better like this than it does in the landing position. But yeah, overall, I think the 2025 model is just better, even with that soft spot for 2008 in my heart. Now, that's going to give us a final score, and quite a surprising one at that, of a blowout win for 2025, getting 4 points versus 1 point for 2008. So should you buy the 2025 model if you've got the 2008 model? I think yes, especially for the minifigs, but the model also, outside of the proportions of the wings, I feel like is not bad at all. But anyway, I think it's worth to buy, at least when it's on sale. Now, if you were considering buying that 2008 model over the 2025 model, like you wanted to spend the $300 or $400, whatever it costs to get that old one sealed, I don't think it's worth spending 6, 7, 8 times as much money on that older model than this newer model. So I would say buy the 2025 model over the 2008 model. I think the minifigs are also going to be hugely influential here. I mean, there's just no reason to want the 2008 set with its single clone pilot, because that clone pilot's in other sets and it's not an expensive figure, versus these 3 brand new exclusive to this V-19 Torrent minifigs. Like, there's a lot more draw there. So anyway, that is everything you need to know between the 2 V-19 Torrents with my in-depth comparison. If you did enjoy, please hit the like button. Let me know your thoughts on these in the comments section below, and you can check out more LEGO Star Wars set comparisons on the end screen now.